Dick's shares fall 20% as retail slashes outlook over theft concerns. And yes, you heard that correctly. Basically, Dick's is saying there is too many people stealing too much stuff. And in fact, this is the first time they mentioned this in 20 years and talking about shrinkage here. And this is what they say. It's moved. It's kind of gone up. We expect it could get even a little bit worse. We've taken a little bit bigger reserve for the second half of the year, just because what we see going on with organized retail crime, grab and goes, and this is the CEO. We think we're doing the best we can to try to curtail it with the security we have in the stores, working with local authorities. And sadly, this is just a problem in USA. It is more than just Dick's, Target, Walmart. All of the retail stores are facing these problems. And Dick's is actually, the stock hasn't been bad. It was up like 33% on the year, but now 20% down, or actually 19.35, but about 20% down. And the pre-market is basically wiping out most of those gains. Now, I just made a video about this, but I just want to mention it again. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. The video I made on this, and if you want to watch the music video of him, you can. It's gotten 32 million views. This is Oliver Anthony Richmond of North Richmond. This is the popular song in America right now, basically complaining about how government's keeping him down and blaming other poor people. And the reason why I mention this is because it sort of reflects the malaise happening in USA. And then when you see in the headlines that our retail stores aren't making any money because there's too much theft, it's a real problem. And the solution I'm offering to you is you got to be honest. You got to be honest about what's happening in your backyard. And until we can do that, it'll be really difficult to move on. And I want to give you a couple examples. Here, the Republican leader for the nomination of the president, in the next election season, Trump, he's facing getting booked in Georgia. He's facing like a bunch of indictments, multiple charges, and basically he's too old. So he's not a great candidate, too old, facing multiple charges for trying to steal election. Not a great candidate. Moreover, I want to say this is another one. So this is Biden. The NCAAP, this is the headline, urges Biden administration to address student debt crisis and fulfill promises to Black America. I laugh. So basically, the promises were made to the NAACP that we're going to wipe out all of your student loans. It's like, it's just a pie in the sky. It's not going to happen. Plus, even if it did, it's bad policy just to wipe out student loans for a certain group of people. It's basically just giving out handout. And I just think neither of these guys are great, and you got to call it out. But I get it. People want to be on their team and only cheer for their team and then point the fingers at everyone else the same way that this guy likes to blame everyone else for his problems. Please see my video on it. I just made about it, but this is where we are in America, where people just blame others, and it's sad. I get it, guys. I can't point I read the news every day. I share this stuff with you. Our government's not even really being honest on our job numbers. Check this out. 500,000 U.S. jobs at risk of vanishing. Our jobs are just vanishing in payroll revision. So basically, they come out with estimates, and this is like, it says the growth in the year through March is forecast to be weaker than the current data illustrate by one estimate by about 500,000 jobs weaker. So they just messed up on their estimates, and when they revise it, they'll be like, oh, I guess it doesn't many jobs as we thought there were. So ridiculous, right? But this is just the state that we're in. We don't know if the numbers that we're getting are good. Plus, moreover, this is another headline all coming out today. S&P downgrades multiple U.S. banks, growing liquidity worries. And I've told you guys this several times, right? I don't have a lot of trust for the banking system. I lived through the 07, 08 financial crisis, and basically they try to keep things secret until they just can't anymore. And remember, before we had Fitch downgrade, the U.S., and now we have the S&P downgrading, banks, etc. And I think you're going to keep seeing more of this kind of stuff. And I mentioned the Dick's thing first because this was just recently, and if you guys didn't see this, this was a Nordstrom's in Topanga, and basically they stole $300K worth of stuff, and they called this a flash mob. It's just ridiculous, and I don't like this idea of living in a lawless land. And I'm just telling you the truth. You got to call it out in your own backyard, meaning that if you know these kind of people, or people in your family or friends or whatever doing these kind of things, it's just hurting all of us. And this is essentially kind of the joke would be, this is why we can't have nice things, meaning that we're probably going to have to close down a bunch of these retail stores and department stores because, frankly, if you're not making money because there's just too many people stealing too much stuff, it's just not worth doing business there anymore. And you start going into like a downward spiral. So, for example, someone's writing in the comments, which I really get it. I really know, to where like, the person, say Oliver Anthony, the community that he lives, hospitals don't go there, big stores don't go there because it's just not an economic base to support said cities, and this is about small cities in America. And then, suddenly then it's just kind of a downward spiral, the same way that you could look at, say, bigger cities where, for example, people are coming in and is robbing the department stores. And this was a thing in San Francisco, for example, where the Nordstrom moved out of it was one of the big malls. It was like the top 2 floors, and it's just vacant. And because I don't blame them, right? If people are stealing your crap, there's just too much stuff. And guys, I get it more than you know. You'll flip on whatever channel that you like to watch for news, and they'll say, oh, all those San Francisco left-wing people, they're just all a bunch of thieves, etc. I laugh because it turns out there was an article that I saw the other day, and it was saying that it was like Missouri, the Victoria's Secret there loses like $30K a month. So it's not just like, one part of the country, it's kind of all over, which is sad. And moreover, which is even more crazy, is I tell you guys so many times, you got to call it your own backyard. And I'm going to give you an example, which is something you don't see often on YouTube because people don't do it. But I'm going to do it because I'm that guy. So people that look like me can totally be scammers. It is totally a real thing. They can be frauds. They can be scammers. And here's an example. This tech lead guy, he's the one who talks about being a millionaire all the time, and he's trying to sell you a class, etc. Totally a scammer. I don't like this guy whatsoever. And he looks like me. Here's another example. There's a dude named Do Kwon. He was totally a crypto scammer. He's South Korean. He's like had this Terraform lab. Now he's facing him charges. He had a bunch of fake passports and was like running around the world trying to get away from the authorities. Totally a scammer. Totally a scammer. And he looks like me. Here's another person, Brian Jung. Totally a scammer, dude. He was one of the FTX pumpers. Now he pumps his credit cards and drop shipping, whatever is hot. Totally a scammer. I don't like this guy. And actually, someone's wrote in the comments before that this guy was even made up, stuff about his background, meaning that he's like trying to say that he was poor, but I guess he grew up in like a really rich area. So totally a scammer. Here's another one, Dan Lok, completely a scammer. I don't talk about him all day, every day, because frankly, he's too small on YouTube for me to even bother. You can see 3,000, 12,000 views. He's barely bigger than me, but yes, in terms of subscribers, he's got a lot. And yes, in terms of scammers, yes, quite a bit of scam. So the reason why I do this is because until we call out our own in terms of being scams, thieves, criminals, whatever, we won't solve these problems, because basically the state of the USA that we're in is we act like, oh, no one that looks like me is ever a bad person. It's only the people that don't look like me that are the bad people. And that kind of thinking is just really terrible. And moreover, I want to point this out. People often misunderstand history entirely. And I want to give you an example. So this was another popular song, and it's an American anthem. It's called Born in the USA. And true story. There are so many politicians that actually play the song, and people, like to sing the lyrics, the chorus, Born in the USA. But if you actually listen to the song and read what it says, it's actually fairly critical of the USA. So let me go through the lyrics, and I just want to go through it if you've never actually listened to the song. Born in a dead man's town, the first kick I took was when I hit the ground. You end up like a dog that's been beat too much till you spend half your life just covering up. Born in USA, born in the USA. I was born in the USA, right? And then here's some more. Got in a little hometown jam. So they put a rifle in my hand, sent me off to a foreign land to go and kill the yellow man. He's talking about the Vietnam War. Born in the USA, I was born in the USA. Comes back from Vietnam. Come back home to the refinery. Hiring man says, son, it was up to me. Went down to see the VA man. He said, son, you don't understand. Basically, it's a story about how it's tough to be in the USA. You have no hope. There's no job for you. They send you off to a foreign war, etc. And yet, for whatever reason, politicians play the song just for the chorus, and people are like, oh yeah, it's great to be born in the USA. And I point all this stuff out to you. because I do my best to educate you. I try my best, but I totally understand. If you're on YouTube, if you want to be popular, you just tell people what they want to hear. You make people feel good. You complain about stuff, and tell everyone they're going to be rich and happy dory and whatever. And you'll be popular. But I just want to tell you the truth. Right? The truth is you got to get job skills. The truth is you got to work hard. The truth is it's not going to be easy. It's not, but it's not impossible. And complaining and drinking like this person, and please watch this video if you haven't, isn't going to help you. Yes, I know it might feel good to complain, and yes, I know it might feel good to drink, but it's not going to help you better your life. And the thing that's sad is, in his kind of environment, this is just an article from August 18th, so just a few days ago. Read the headline: Slashing its budget, West Virginia University. What is essential? So basically, they're cutting foreign language. They're cutting a bunch of programs, and I get it. I get it more than There's people like, who needs foreign language? Who needs education? I'm just gonna not get educated and expect my life to be great. And it's sad. It's really sad. And I'm trying my best to tell you guys the truth. And the thing is that like people like they write critical comments, say, oh, Chris, not everyone needs to go to college. And actually, I agree. You don't. But you need to get job skills, right? So if you don't want to go to college, you don't have to. But get job skills. So you can actually make pretty good money in the trades. I've said that several times on the channel. Be an electrician, be a plumber, these kind of things, right? But you can't necessarily do that job everywhere. You got to go where they're building homes, where they're doing construction, right? So if you're going to stay in a city where there's no construction, those kind of jobs, those kind of skills aren't going to help you. You got to move. Or, for example, you can work in alternative power, be it solar power installation, or be it wind turbine things, these kind of stuff. It is a real jobs. Or get trained in fixing EV cars. There's going to be a huge demand for that. You can get trained in drones. If you do want to go to school, you can learn computers. Computers are fantastic. I do think learning a foreign language is also great. And sadly, though, however, some of the public schools, like for example, West Virginia is actually cutting that, and they're cutting other programs, and it's just the money's not there for it. And unfortunately, this is just the state that we're in. We're not investing heavily in healthcare or education. I believe in these things. I don't think it's crazy to say, hey, you should have your mind healthy and your body healthy, but I get it more than right? Politicians come out and they promise you stuff. Hey, if we're going to just build a big wall and we're going to blame other people, that will solve all of your problems. But sadly, this is the world that we live in, is that you got to take care of yourself, okay? That's first thing. And then the other thing is, too, if we do actually want to solve the problems in USA, you got to start calling out problems and scammers and bad people that might look like you the same way I just did. So if you don't believe me, I will show you again. These people all look like me. Tech Lead looks like me. Totally a scammer. Do Kwon looks like me. Totally a scammer. Brian Jung looks like me. Totally a scammer. And Dan Lok looks like me. Totally a scammer. See, I can do it, and I encourage you to do the same. So, not scam, but call out people that look like you, or have the same political party as you, whatever. I hope you guys understand the message of this. And this is just the USA that we live in, that we can't have nice things. We can't even have sports stores anymore because there's too many people stealing too much stuff. So anyway, that's my message for you today. I hope you guys understand the point of this, and I'll catch you next video.